Hey everybody, welcome to Black Belt Life. I'm Darren Myers. With me today is 4.5+ decade veteran of the martial arts and master of Tai Chi, Xing Yi, Bagua, and just a cool guy.
Oh, thank you.
Louser, Mr. Terry Price.
How's everybody doing?
Good. I'm doing great. It's
Excellent.
so
Very
good to have you here.
It's
Thanks.
good to be here. Thank you.
Good. We have been friends for, okay, never mind. Longer than most of you have been alive. But anyway, we've been friends for a long time. We started in the same dojo and
Yes,
everything.
we did.
But tell me about how you got started. What got you interested in getting into it?
Oddly enough, comic books.
Really?
Yes. Being my age, there was a whole bunch of different comic books out there, but one of them in particular was a series called Magnus, the Robot Fighter.
Okay.
And he had futuristic comic book kind of thing, and he fought robots, of course, but he fought like this in the Shudo kind of thing, and he would cut the heads off, of robots, and cause lots of damage. And then from there, it was like, okay, I'm sort of interested in this. And then Black Belt Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Started getting those. Had no idea what was going on, but I was buying those and reading those.
Of course.
And then the Holy Grail, the Green Hornet with Kato.
Yes!
Yes. And then, that was like a revelation. And then, of course, the Kung Fu TV series with Kwai Chang Caine. So that's mostly what got me into it, wanting to do something like that. Me and a friend, Bruce Dusenberry, started, doing things, and we find little, things, the katas or little, from Black Belt Magazine, and try a little self-defense thing, breaking boards and that kind of stuff. So that's basically,
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's interesting the way we start. It's such simple, and we don't know anything. We don't know what we don't know, and here we are. 47 years later, and what keeps you going?
Oh, gee, I think for me it's an art form, and I've always been interested in all kinds of art. I play guitar, I paint, so to me it's the art form, and part of it is the idea of sharing. Yeah, I'm that guy back in the day. If I found a new musical group and an album, I'd be knocking on your door going, "Hey, man, listen to this."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that whole idea of sharing and teaching, and that keeps me going. It's just I quit for about a year once I hit brown belt, and I missed it so much.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be walking around or sitting around doing it, and I'd be going, something with my hands. I said, okay, you got to get back.
Yeah.
So
glad you did.
Yes,
glad you did.
I am too.
And you've been our teacher here at Virginia Martial Arts Center in the softer arts of Kung Fu. And a lot of people, they hear that word Kung Fu, and I think they often think about the harder styles of Kung Fu instead of the softer styles. And really, what are the differences, and which do you do?
Okay, first off, let's define Kung Fu.
Okay.
Kung Fu literally translates to skill through hard work. Okay, so if you're a concert violinist, that's your Kung Fu. So Kung Fu does not necessarily mean a martial arts style, although in the West we have associated with it. There are two systems of Chinese martial arts, Wei Jia, which means the external, like Shaolin, Hung Gar, karate would be considered that, and Nijia, which is considered the softer arts that use internal power and that kind of thing. So.
Okay, gotcha. And now the arts that you teach are primarily on the softer side.
Yes.
And explain a little bit about the difference between those, if you could.
Okay, I teach Tai Chi, Bagua, and Xing Yi. They are the three sister arts. The way I describe it is in Tai Chi, you are the circle. Okay, you carry any incoming attack around you. The Bagua, your opponent is the circle. So when an attack comes in, you always go to the oblique, to the side, and circle around and come in to attack from there. Bagua is Xingyi is the oldest and tends to be more straightforward and linear. It still uses the soft energy, but it meets an attack head on.
Okay.
You know, so it blows. I usually say, Xingyi doesn't care about your circle. It's going to go. It's going to go right on through.
It's going to be a train.
Yeah, exactly. They also often talk about it being the tip of the spear.
Okay.
You know, coming through. It's just a straight line attack. You know,
Right.
defense and attack. So that's basically Reader's Digest version of the difference between them.
Right.
Whereas Bagua and Xingyi Bagua and Tai Chi tend to yield to energy. Xingyi just meets, like I said, meets the attack with a hard block and then an attack after that.
So it really kind of sounds like you've got all the bases covered. That's
Yeah.
kind of the neat part with those
Yeah.
three arts.
Yes.
And do most people who study Tai Chi kind of get involved with those kind of three together?
Most people that study one will have studied one or the other.
Okay.
Most people do try to do all three, but it's like for me, it's Taiji, Bagua, Xingyi's I'm least proficient with Xingyi.
Okay.
But I'm getting better, because
We all do.
We all do. Yeah.
Good.
So,
And most of the inquiries we get from people who are interested in those kind of arts, they're always calling, of course, about Tai Chi because that's the one you hear about
Yeah.
the most and all. And I think one of the things is people hear about the health benefits of it because it's centuries old and that type a thing. But you look at the Chinese people, and I can remember on my trip to China, in a park, people were doing Tai Chi all over the place, along with other things. But they live to a very ripe old age. A lot of them do, and they say that a lot of that's because they keep moving.
yes,
just
keeping
keep
moving is the thing. Because Tai Chi practices and moves the way it does, we're moving slowly. We're very concerned about our center of gravity and our balance. And when you do that, it's becomes sort of a meditative kind of thing. And when that happens, that lowers your blood pressure. Of course, the better your blood pressure is, the better you're going to be health-wise overall. So that's
Right.
a lot of it right there. And the strengthening of the knees and the hips and the ankle joints, it gets you to the point where you want to move.
Okay.
You're like most Westerners. Your 7-Eleven is 2 blocks away. What are you going to do? You're going to get in your car and drive,
That's right.
instead of walking it.
Right.
So, moving is essential.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially with your Tai Chi class, if you look at it, a lot of the people are older. They're folks that they're not going to be doing hardcore, heavy aerobics. They're not going to be doing karate, hard punching, kicking, that kind of thing. They're looking for something that's a little easier on the body,
Yep.
but has those in both physical and intrinsic benefits.
Yes.
And like you said, to me, I think of it. I think you pretty much said it as moving meditation.
Moving meditation. That's,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And as I often tell people, I teach this as a whole package. It's a martial art at its core, but if you're not interested in that, okay, there's other things you're going to get out of it.
Right.
But I do like seeing the light bulb go off in people's heads when they, like I said, they have no interest in the martial aspect, but when you show a application for a certain technique, they go, oh,
Right.
okay,
Right.
I didn't know it worked that way. So
Yeah, I love that with a student. You could see, oh wow, kind of all of a sudden they are enlightened
Yeah.
to this new technique or this technique that they've been doing for years and years, and now all of a sudden they go, that's what that's
that's
for.
what that's for, exactly.
So yeah, it's and that's one of the things that I think keeps all of us going as far as teachers.
Yeah.
Is those aha moments,
Yeah.
that students have, and we still have them too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
I tell my students all the time. I said, I'm constantly learning stuff as I practice. It's like, a nuance of a technique that you didn't recognize before suddenly reveals itself. And You know, my teacher, Chen Yunqing, he would tell you, he said, no, I'm not a master. My father was a master, but I'm not a master. I'm still learning.
There you go.
And probably his father would probably say the same thing. Yeah, about, oh, my teacher was, you know,
Right.
yeah, he was the master. I'm just, you know,
Right.
yeah, so.
Yeah. The now, in keeping with the Chinese your lineage of martial arts here, you have really become, and I know you're a very humble person. You know, you don't talk about what you've achieved and that kind of stuff, but you've become a direct disciple of the head of the style here
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And so, tell us a little bit about the organization and your
Years ago, Chen Yunqing, seventh son of Chen Panling, the creator of the system that I do, decided upon his retirement that he wanted to standardize the Chen Panling system. So his goal was to go take these little training tours. The first one I went to was in 2006. And to get all those people who say they were doing the Chen Panling Tai Chi to be as close to what his father taught as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So he came here 4 times. I went to each and every one of them. The first one I was only able to stay for 3 days, but the rest of them I went for the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
And on one occasion, that was 2008, he went back to Taiwan, and I received a letter. And it said that I was invited due to the interest that I showed and the dedication, that I was invited to come to Taiwan and take part in what they call a Ba Shi ceremony, which is basically translates to ask teacher for knowledge.
Okay.
And that's when I did that. That's when I went through that process and became what they call a Dong Men Ren. Dong means loyal, Men Ren means gatekeeper or disciple.
Mm-hmm.
So, and upon that, I was given a certificate to teach, and so
Yeah.
that's it.
That's a big deal, though.
That is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
I literally, when I read the letter, I literally cried.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So it's like,
Wow.
oh, jeez.
Well, that's years and years, and I mean decades of hard work that you put into it, and to be recognized like that is really cool. And this picture of this group,
that was 19 people that took the ceremony. The middle row with the ladies in the green. So the person in the middle, that's Chen Yunqing, and that's his brother to the other side is that's Willie.
Willie, okay.
Willie, yeah. And at the end over there is James Sumarak, and the other end is Xiao Mei. That's his adopted brother, and that was the end of the ceremony. It was a very emotional thing because I'm a joiner. Mm-hmm. And when he was, I don't know if you see it at the back where that flag is, there's a poster of Chen Panling. Well, he stood in the front of that and was looking at it, and then he started sniffing. And as soon as he started, everybody else in the room started.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's a ceremony where he takes there's these team of about 5 guys come in. Some are in uniform, some are in dress clothes, and they have an altar and they're burning incense and reciting things. And 2 guys one goes out with a incense, and the other goes out with a mirror. So what they're doing is they're inviting the ancestors into the ceremony to witness.
Oh, okay.
So it was like you get up and your name is called. You present the master with a red envelope which has an offering in it, and then you bow 3 times. I mean, with your on your knees, hands placed, hit your head on the floor. 3 times. Once to the altar, 3 times to the master, and then he puts a necklace around me, which is essentially my rank system.
Okay.
And that was like you said. I don't have the photograph here, but you can see that my eyes are still misty.
Yeah, wow. And it's the Chinese martial arts. You were explaining. We were talking earlier, and you were talking about how it's very family oriented. Yeah. And I think of the Japanese martial arts, and but they're a bit more militaristic, as far as things go, where you have the, like in this picture, I believe that's James Samarak, is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah.
This is the kind of picture that every student wants to have with his master,
Yeah.
is to show that he is a
He's part of the
disciple, he's
lineage,
part,
yes.
part of the family.
Yeah. So Sifu, that term that we kick around a lot, that literally means teacher father.
Okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah, teacher father.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So Lao Shi means teacher or instructor. So before I became the disciple, I would refer to him. I wouldn't refer to him as Sifu. I would refer to him as Lao Shi. At the end of that, we were told now you refer to him as Sifu.
I see.
So it's very, like I said. Now James was his second. So James and Xiaomei, his wife, are my uncle and auntie.
Okay. Right.
So, and then I have brothers and sisters in the arts, and depending on how long you've studied is where you're at.
Okay.
As far as the older brother, younger brother kind
Right,
of thing.
right,
So.
right. So again, the age thing is
Yeah.
very, very
Age,
important.
the age doesn't matter. It's how long you've been studying.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. So, who throughout your training, and I know you've trained with several people over the years, who are like the three most influential people to you over those years?
Xian Donald J. Bentner.
There you go.
Okay. Larry Mann. And Mr. David Liu. He called himself Coach. He was the one that taught me this form.
Okay.
Larry Mann was the person because Coach Liu did not speak English. Okay. So it was me going over to his house. He'd say show. I would go to where, stop where he showed me last, and he'd make corrections and then teach me more. Funny story, on the last day that when we finished the form, he goes like this, holds up his hand, and then comes back. He's got his hat and a coat. He says, "You show me where you do Tai Chi." So he lived off of Rosemont Road in Virginia Beach. I live in South Norfolk. So I pack him in my car. We drive home. I take him into my house. I followed good Chinese etiquette. I offered him something to eat or drink.
There you go.
He politely refused. I insisted. He took a glass of water. And then he said, show me where you do Tai Chi. So I showed him my backyard. He looked around and looked at one part on my deck. He said, "You do Tai Chi here." So he essentially feng shuied my backyard.
Oh, wow.
So I could get the best energy.
Gotcha.
Now, Larry Mann taught me more about the principles of what drives Tai Chi. Now, Xian Donald Bentner, as you well know, we studied Kempo with him. I achieved second degree black belt, and you were higher, but he laid down such a great foundation.
Right.
And a very inspirational man. I still see him every once in a while sitting there with his
You're right.
cigarette. So
Yeah, and he would tell you just enough
to
make you
whet your
think,
interest.
and to make you think. He was an interesting man, and man, that was a great loss, when he left us. But he left us with like you said, a basic, very good foundation from which I've gone toward the Japanese arts. You've gone toward the Chinese arts, and but I think that loyalty and dedication that he taught us has led us to where we are today. And I'll always be thankful for that, to say the least. What advice could you give to students who want to achieve, great, want to learn Tai Chi and that type of thing? What?
The biggest is if you've got a timeline, forget it. Forget the timeline. Don't put yourself under that pressure.
I like that. Yep.
Don't beat yourself up. If you're having a hard time getting something, you'll get it. It might not come when you want it to, but it'll come. As I said before, I'm still learning things. Your time in the martial arts, whether it's what you do or what I do, should be loaded with what I call martial epiphanies. It's like you've been practicing, moving up and down, doing low block, reverse punch. One day something goes click, Okay, so
that
just
light bulb again.
that light bulb again, but just wait for those moments.
Right.
The biggest one is don't be on a timeline. I used to tell people, don't beat me up for this, but I used to tell people, if you come through the door with a 5-year plan to learn Tai Chi, best for you to walk back out, because that's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You may learn the form.
Yes.
But you're not going to learn
No.
what the art is really truly about.
One of my favorite authors is a gentleman named Yang Jwing Ming, and he put it this way, and I borrow it. It's your time in the martial arts is a circular journey. Okay, you learn stuff, you go around a circle, you come back to the starting point. You're a beginner again, but you're a different level beginner.
Yeah,
so you're
right.
piling onto it every time you go around a circle. So you just
Yeah, in the Japanese martial arts, we kind of have the same thing, what we call Shoshin, which means beginner's mind.
yes, beginner's mind.
You know, and the idea is you start at white belt and you work your way to black belt, and then your belt starts to get white again. But I remember, and somebody that you're familiar with, Hiroyuki Hamada, okay, from Old Dominion
yes.
University. I remember because I took some classes with him when I was in college, and he said, I just want to be the best beginner possible.
Yes.
You know, and that's like, wow, that's a huge statement right there.
Well, Shion Bentner probably did the same thing to you when you became black belt. Because I remember it. He hands me the black belt and his certificate and says, "Congratulations, Mr. Price, you're now a beginner."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're ready to learn the
now
real
you're
stuff.
ready to learn.
That's it. And interesting what you were saying about the, don't be in a hurry and that type of thing. Just yesterday, I'm teaching a class, and I was a little bit of a lecture on Nintai, which in Japanese means patience. And you've got to have patience, and patience with yourself, patience with your teacher, patience with everybody else that you're working with, and everything. And the hardest part is the patience with yourself.
Yes.
Because you think, I should be able to do this.
Yes.
I should be able to, learn this faster and that kind of thing. And you do. You have to have that patience with yourself to give yourself the time to understand and hit those epiphanies like we were talking about. So
One person that I was associated with, Benjamin Panjing Lo, said, "Patience is good. Perseverance is better."
there you go. Right.
So yeah, you got to have the persevere and have the patience to persevere. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
Sure.
you're going to and know that you're going to sometimes you're going to stink on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. By the way, any viewers, if you'd like to ask a question, please feel free to type it in. Also, if you like what we're doing, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll let you know about more things that are going on. Yeah, hit that.
Yeah.
I guess one of the real interesting things with Tai Chi and the softer arts and all that stuff is that there's a great emphasis on internal energy, on Chi,
Yes.
and all that. And for of course those people who've been with martial arts for a long time, they're going to understand what Chi is and all that stuff. And I think more people hear it nowadays than ever before, because let's face it, modern medicine is starting to go,
Exactly,
okay,
yeah.
maybe there's something to this after all. What does that play in what you teach?
Like within karate, the concept of ki. Okay.
Same thing, right?
Okay, it's you focusing energy. In Chinese, everything has a chi flow. If not, it's dead. Okay, inanimate objects have no chi flow. You've heard of feng shui. Well, that person this feng shui practitioner comes in and looks at your house or your location and figures out the chi flow and tells you how to arrange things so the chi flows. That life energy. It's how acupuncture works. If we have the Tantian, which is the sea of chi, and meridians and vessels flow from there. So if you have a problem, say, with your kidney, they will find that acupuncture point that governs that organ and apply pressure or a needle to unblock the chi flow, because sometimes chi can get blocked due to injuries. That's why in some martial arts I will punch not to, and Tai Chi does the same thing. I will strike an area not to cause a whole lot of damage physically, but within the next couple of weeks, you might have an issue going to the restroom.
Okay, right.
Because
okay.
I've closed off that meridian point, that acupuncture point. So, building it is. Chi will follow where your eyes go. You remember this when we did this with Master Chen.
Right.
I mean, with Xian Bettner.
Right.
And sometimes you'd feel like the tips of your fingers were going to pop off.
Yeah.
That's the Chi flow.
Right.
So if I'm looking over here, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
So you try to direct the Chi flow to the hands, feet, whatever you're going to do. Or, and in the case of a Ki, you know what that's for.
Yeah.
You tense.
Right.
Right. So that's so you don't get any damage. So yes, you don't hear them in Tai Chi, but there are points when we do strikes where it's like,
okay,
so that same sort of thing.
Yeah, the energy is there.
Yeah, the energy is out. So I'm pushing the Chi, hopefully into my hand. Yeah, and again, in China there's still a lot of people who believe in Chi, and there's others, great martial artists that go, no, it's not Chi or magic. It's just great skill, good mechanics.
Okay.
So it's still people are on the
fence.
on the fence on
Some
that,
are. Yes, absolutely.
I have seen too many things in my time to totally discount it. But then again, as you well know, we've seen coming up a lot of charlatans.
Yeah, absolutely,
on that,
sure.
So,
Yep. But we've seen both sides, that's for sure. Seen some things we couldn't explain.
Yes, exactly.
Other than it could be, it's got to be Chi.
Yeah.
Anything, this is a great talk. I really appreciate this. I'm learning stuff, and that's why I do the show. It's not for y'all, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
But anything else that you wanted to share with us that I haven't asked you?
I noticed one of your questions when I was looking at the paper. It's one of my great disappointments.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm always a little leery to ask that one. Okay.
Well, this one's kind of speaks to where I am today.
Okay.
And that is, I became disciple. Okay. You had moved on, and from Xian Bettner, and Mike Ingersoll and myself, became probationary disciples. I did not know what that meant, and I sloughed it off, and I did not follow. Okay? Same with Coach Lou. I did not go back to his house after that I took him home, from him feng shuiing my backyard. I did not follow up. Larry Mann did not give me the opportunity. He got sick and passed away.
Right.
But that idea that in my head that I failed Xian Bettner and Coach Lou, that's what drove me to this. When Master Chen sent me that letter, and it's like, okay, I'm following through on this.
There you go.
Which is kind of one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it, teaching it in there. Part of the Bashi ceremony is you take an oath. And that oath is to, help preserve and spread the system.
Right.
So, I asked one of your students who's been taking my class, I said, so where are you seeing yourself with this? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, are you interested in teaching at all? He was like, well, do you mean, like helping out in class? No, I mean, as in saying, I want to teach this art. Because if you say yes, I'm going to dump everything I can into you
right.
to help fulfill that promise. I have 5 people at this point that I have given teacher's certificates to.
Okay.
To help spread it out, and I got several more that are heading that way. So.
Good. Fantastic.
So that's always what I do. Are you interested in teaching at all? So that's my biggest disappointment is the fact that because as you well know, Xian Bettner had a lot to offer. Yeah. We don't know what he knew.
Right. Yeah.
Because he was a martial sponge.
Yep.
He went to different places and just soaked up whatever he could.
Yeah. I had the same experience again with Soki Kuniba, Soki Shogo Kuniba, and I wish I had spent so much more time with him. He'd be 86, 7 years old right now. and probably still going. And he died at 57, and it's like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
It cut our time so short, and I regret the time I didn't spend with him. You know, the times I went, oh man, I've got to do this. I can't go to that class tonight or something like that. And yeah, you have those regrets that you go, wow, I messed up. So you make sure now that you don't have
Yep.
anything else to look back on and go, man, I wish I had. You know.
By the way, Master Chen's birthday was the 12th of this month.
Oh,
Happy
wow.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
In his
Yes.
80s.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Well, and so if somebody wants to study Tai Chi or learn more about it from you, how do they get in contact with you?
I have a website, thelaughingdragonacademy.com. It has I looked at it earlier. It actually has the school's contact phone number.
Right, because
So-
he teaches here.
Yes, and my
at Virginia
email
Martial Arts.
My email is listed on the website, and plus you can always just contact through the website.
Right.
We have a contact
Right.
page.
And people cannot just contact our dojo
Yeah,
as well,
as
you know,
well,
to
definitely.
sign up for Tai Chi.
We are linked.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for your time today,
I
for
appreciate
coming
it.
in. This has been kind of nice sitting down, you know,
Yeah.
with a cup of coffee and
Yeah. Oh,
having
by
a
the
little
way,
chat.
yeah.
Yes, by the way,
Yeah.
absolutely enjoy that. And I'm hoping that we get more of a chance to do something like this. Also, if you have other questions for Laojiu, please feel free to put them in the comments afterwards, and
Yes.
we'll get them to you, and you know you can answer those people's questions
Yes.
and that type of thing at any time. So again, if you like it, hit the like button. If you hit the subscribe button, next week we are going to have another wonderful guest. We are going to be interviewing a 17-time national champion.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, how long a career have you got to
Yeah,
have
really.
to have be national champion 17 times? That's the kind of person that shows up at the tournament and everybody else goes, oh, they're here. You know? And also was bronze medalist twice in the World Championships.
Wow.
And so it's going to be a great interview, and now working on human rights, and that is Cheryl Murphy. So from the USA Karate team, and we're looking forward to that. Also, my co-host is going to be a good friend of hers, Mr. Brian Hobson, who I had an interview with a couple weeks ago. So join us next week for that. It's going to be a great interview, a good time. I'm sure there's going to be some laughs as well, and it should be a good time. Again, thank you so much. Okay, it's been
No
a
problem.
pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week on Black Belt Life.
Excellent.